This Soonerscoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. From the big plays to life's everyday moments, see it all in sharp focus with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Soonerscoop LASIK.
Isn't, the old Big 12 days where Oklahoma destroys everybody, every single week, except for one game a year. And, I'm not saying that in any other way other than, every week, there's big, long, fast, explosive dudes, great staffs, really good quarterback play, tremendous lines of scrimmage, things of that nature.
Woo! Brent Venables stepping in it today. The Big 12 responds. Welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, George Stoy here for a William and Lord practice report. Making waves out there on the social media world. Georgie?
Brent's just speaking facts. And I don't blame the Big 12 for taking a shot back at Brent.
It's perfect Twitter.
It's
Is
great
it not
college,
perfect Twitter?
It's great college football. I love it. Brent said nothing wrong, though. Oklahoma won 14 Big 12 championships in its 28 years as a member of the conference. They dominated the conference, sure.
And the conference comes back, jabs at him.
And they, rightfully so, they did not dominate the conference when Brent was the head coach, but Brent did win 7 Big 12 championships as a defensive coordinator.
Just scroll through your Twitter timeline and then report back to me if college football isn't the best.
Yeah. It's the best, man. It's awesome.
All right. Oklahoma headed out to South Carolina on Saturday afternoon. We'll be headed out to the Palmetto State. Do you know anything about palmettos?
No.
Neither do I. I believe it's a flower. Is that correct?
Sure.
I think that is correct. All right. Welcome back, though. Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel. You can watch the Brent Venables press conference as well as Ben Arbuckle's on Tuesday. A lot of talk about John Mateer, a lot of talk about the run game, and everything in between as Oklahoma heads into a rather important game in Columbia, South Carolina on Saturday, George.
I mean,
kind of everything,
we're going to say
isn't it?
this the rest of the year, but every game now is the biggest game of the year. And for Oklahoma and what happened this past Saturday down at the Cotton Bowl, they have to bounce back if they want to achieve the goals that they set out to this year, maybe save their jobs in some regard. They have to win this football game on Saturday.
I mean, I know that we're going to talk about this. We'll probably get more in depth on it on the Unofficial 40 on Wednesday, but it certainly seems like you don't win this game Saturday, you're right back to where we started this thing in August, right? You almost kind of completely wipe away what you did in September.
I mean, yeah, you're back to where you were last year,
sure,
as a team, and this thing can go off the rails quickly when you look at the schedule. And it's only they have 6 games left. 5 of them are against ranked opponents, all inside the top 16. South Carolina is the one unranked team, and you look at them statistically. This is a game Oklahoma should go and win.
Okay, when you lay it out like that, it makes it a little bit easier. They're going to need John Mateer to play much better than he did on Saturday down at the Cotton Bowl. We'll get to that here in a second. First, let's tell you about our good friends over at William & Lauren, the official custom clothier of OU football. William & Lauren outfits your favorite OU players in custom suits that boost their confidence off the field to match their confidence on the field. Their perfectly tailored clothing ensures every Sooner stands out in comfort and style at prices that make luxury accessible. You can visit William & Lauren in Oklahoma City or in Tulsa in their brick and mortar or online at williamandlauren.com. That is williamandlauren.com. Dress like a champion and make your style as legendary as Oklahoma football. You see some of the players filing into the Cotton Bowl. Did it go well after this? But this was
Is that
a good
Jacob
part.
Jordan? That's a good looking suit
I
there.
like the Jaron Kanik look here.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
It's a good looking suit with the cowboy hat. I like the cowboy hats that are being incorporated in everything that some of the Oklahoma players are doing. We hear you out there. They should focus more on the game and running the football, that kind of stuff. We'll get to that right now. John Mateer, we talked to him on Monday night. You can see that interview after practice on Monday with the Oklahoma quarterback right here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel. Everything, though, it seems like, certainly pissed off, mad, angry, disappointed, everything in between in terms of how he played on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, it sounds like he's kind of back full go. I wrote about that last night. He's back at practice, doing everything that he can. It was obvious on Saturday that he didn't practice a whole lot, at least not important parts of practice. And I think that you could sense his frustration after the game on Saturday with the way he played. And I think on Monday, he continued to own all that, said that he had to play a lot better and, that he feels like he now has something to prove a little bit. I think he was asked something about his critics and he's like, I haven't seen any of that, but he's like, I'm sure it's out there the way I played.
We'll give you an update if you need one. What'd you make of Brent Venables and Ben Arbuckle, the way they talked about their quarterbacks today?
I mean, a lot of belief in him, and rightfully so. Like, I don't think that they're wavering in what they believe in John Mateer. I mean, Brent went out and got him to kind of fix this offense along with Ben Arbuckle, and obviously Arbuckle fully believes in John Mateer. He brought him with him from Washington State. So one bad game, especially considering the circumstances of not practicing, that hand, how healthy is it? Like, I don't think that they are losing confidence at all in John Mateer right now.
Here is Brent Venables, Ben Arbuckle, and of course John Mateer talking about getting on the back on the right foot when they get to South Carolina.
I got even more respect for him. You want to carry all the weight for all your guys, but you can't do that. That's part of their responsibility, and he wants to take the whole team on his back, and that's not fair to him at all. And so try to help him with his perspective. I think is important. And again, shoulder. If you don't play to a standard, shoulder it. It shouldn't be any different than a Mike linebacker or defensive end or the kicker. That isn't any different. But that position does require a little more weight. And sometimes a heck of a lot more, and that's okay. He can handle it, but he's always hard on himself, and he has incredibly high standards. And I haven't been around him the depth that Coach Arbuckle and Coach Coos have, but I've been made aware of how he's handled adversity in the past, and it's been really strong. But no, I'm not surprised. With your observation with him yesterday. He's a humble guy that likes to work. He doesn't live in La La Land. He knows what's good and what isn't good, and what's good enough and what ain't good enough. And so he'll go right back to work, and did. The guys really respect that. That helps everybody step back in line.
Yeah, today was good. It's a walkthrough day, but we came out ready to go. I mean, it's important when something like that happens and you see how everybody responds. We got good men on this team, and we came ready to go.
How much more can you maybe do this week, practice-wise?
What do you mean, like physically?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm full go. I'm good. I played in the game, so if anything starts hurting, I'll chill out, but I'm good to go.
How much more can that maybe help you in preparation this week versus maybe last week where you didn't know if you were going to be able to go?
Practice is super important, and I mean, I don't think that was the reason, everything happened, but it's super important for any player, from professional to youth. Like, you need to practice, and it'll be good getting into rhythm and working my body, being ready to go.
The first thing that you see with his mental build and his mental makeup, one is that he's the ultimate competitor, and he is his harshest critic, and he knows that stuff that he did on last Saturday wasn't what winning requires. And so he does a really good job of resetting his mind, getting back to the basics, whether it's his footwork or his reads, and really honing in on that and cleaning that up and making sure he's very intentional with that in practice. But also with that in his mental makeup build is he's a great leader. He had great juice yesterday at practice, and he owns anything that might not go the offense's way, whether that's his fault or not. And I think that's a really good characteristic in a young man and a leader. And so his mental makeup is strong, and I'm excited to watch him attack this week of work.
It's decision making, taking another breath and really seeing the field and seeing, knowing the situation and not guessing and doing too much. I think that's what came up, and I'm obviously not happy about it, and nobody should be. But the teammates, they have my back, and I appreciate that.
You heard it right there, too, and that's something else that came up on Monday night, George. Certainly, there's no doubt in the locker room about what John Mateer not only means to this team on the field, but certainly off the field from a leadership standpoint, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that, we heard from several guys last night and how much they still obviously believe in John Mateer. And I think they know that if Oklahoma wants to achieve its goals this season, John Mateer is going to have to play extremely well. He's going to have to get back to the way that he was playing, and I think that the more that they can help him, we heard that a lot today too, right? From Brent Venables and Ben Arbuckle, the players last night. It's like everybody else around him also has to play better too, whether it's the offensive line or the running backs getting the run game going, whoever it is, the defense, getting even more stops, which I know is crazy to say. I think that everybody knows that it's not just, John Mateer played poorly. The team did not play well.
It's always kind of funny too, and especially with all of the Twitter stuff today with Brent Venables and obviously the way that we've talked about this team post the Texas game. It kind of certainly feels like they're 1-5 right now, rather than being 5-1.
Yeah, it always feels like the sky is falling.
And certainly it'll only get worse if you go lose on Saturday.
Yeah, you can't lose this Saturday, but it is interesting how the fan base that really endeared themselves to, or John Mateer endeared himself to them, have suddenly somewhat turned on him.
Sure.
At least in my mentions, I know that's not everybody out there. It's probably a small minority that's actually turned on John Mateer. He's the only reason you are 5-1 in a lot of ways. So, look, I think that there's still a ton of confidence in John. I think that he has a chip on his shoulder that maybe wasn't there before. I think that he's going to go out and play better. I don't think he'll play as poorly as he did again this year. We'll see. We'll see how healthy he is, how much can he practice this week. But certainly I think inside that locker room, there's still a lot of faith in him.
Here is a number of his teammates, as well as a little bit more from Ben Arbuckle talking John Mateer.
One, stay true to who you are, stay true to the process that has gotten you to where you have been in life and as a player. And don't listen to the outside noise, because that's not, that's nothing pertaining to you. Stay true to who you are. Stay true to who you are as a leader. Bond, connect, and continue to build all your relationships with your teammates. Strengthen those as much as you can, because ultimately those are the guys that matter. And the awesome thing is the support that those guys have shown John. That's one thing I love about this team is these kids have each other's back. And there was zero flinch after that game from those kids, from John Mateer. But that's the biggest thing you can tell them is you got to stay true to who you are. Fall back onto your basics, because basics win. Basic footwork wins. Basic timing wins. And you just got to be you.
Yeah, I mean, especially the people I've talked to, and I appreciate them and everything. My family, obviously, a bunch of friends, got a bunch of texts, but yeah, I appreciate it. It means a lot to me that they gave me some grace, and because I needed it a little bit, but they got my back.
It's really been love, we were in the locker room today, and I see Beshi all over this dude. I'm like, bro, that's love, you feel me? And John himself, he hasn't really brought himself down. He's kept his head up, he's still loving on every single one of us. And I really think that's what it's going to come down to, you feel me? We can't keep our head down. If anything, you either win, you either lose, or you learn. And we learn, you feel me? And that's all we can do, learn and get better. And John's been a great guy with that. Coming out to practice today, nobody had their head down. If anything, we got right back to work. We really want to get better at this. We really want to be the best, and that's what we're going to be.
Yeah, he knows that it's all love. We're always there for him, because at the end of the day, no one played their best game, and a lot of people played their worst game. And so it's not just on him. It's a group effort, because at the defensively, if we don't let them score again after the first half, we win the game. And so I think as much as people say it's on him, it's on defense as well.
I don't know about that, Peyton, but we'll go with you there in support of your teammate, John Mateer. All right, let's talk run game, because that's going to be very, very important when you're talking about getting this offense just as a whole. It's going to make everybody's life better. I certainly, from what we saw, it's kind of like Brent Venables talking about it on Tuesday with the tackling issues that Oklahoma had against Texas. John Mateer's play was certainly uncharacteristic on Saturday from what we had seen
Yeah.
previously in the first 4 games of the season, or four games of the season.
Yeah, he didn't look like himself at all, and so getting him back, comfortable in a rhythm, being able to, turn around and hand the ball off and pick up a few yards. It's not like you're asking Oklahoma to run in chunks, which would be nice, but if you could turn around and get 4 or 5 yards, that would be really nice, and I think would help the offense quite a bit, and especially a guy in John Mateer.
All right, before we go all in on the Oklahoma run game, or lack thereof, let us tell you about our good friends over at Harry's. Maybe if they started using Harry's razors, maybe things would all of a sudden become better for them on the offensive line.
They would certainly, look cleaner in terms of their facial hair. I know I use Harry's every single day pretty much. I've been using Harry's for years. They've got the best products, whether it's the razors or the shaving cream or anything else like that.
And Harry's doesn't make just razors, George.
Yep.
They have just about everything that you would need. All you got to do is go to harrys.com/SoonerScoop. Get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10. That includes all new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. All you got to do is head over to harrys.com/SoonerScoop to claim this offer after you purchase, and they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the program. How about that? Harry's. Thank you to the fine people over at Harry's. Okay. Let's get into the run game. It hasn't been good. It hasn't been good for, it seems, years on years on years. What can be different with this thing here moving forward?
Well, I think you have to look at, and we the media asked a lot of questions about the run game today, specifically to Ben Arbuckle and how he can fix it. And I think you have to look at it schematically. We'll get into the running back rotation and stuff. Certainly feels like it's going to be Torrey Blaylock as the main guy moving forward. But I think schematically you have to look at, doing some, spreading out of the offense, basically getting rid of the tight end inline blocking. That's just not working for him in 12 personnel or even 11 personnel with one tight end. So I think that Ben has to sit there and say, okay, what's working and what's not. Not a whole lot is working, but what is again, spreading it out and running it that way. Quarterback run game, I think, is still going to be a big part of what they do. But I think they have to kind of look at this whole thing and kind of scrap some of the stuff that they've been doing.
Here is Ben Arbuckle, Brent Venables. This is kind of just a basis of everything that was said today on the run game. We're talking particulars as well as rotation that you had asked.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were interested in that because, a lot of people are, well, it's DeMarco Murray's fault that so-and-so's in the game or that they can't run the ball. And I think it's always been this way, but I think it sounds like it's a pretty collaborative effort.
All right, here is Ben Arbuckle, Brent Venables talking to OU run game.
Yeah, I think it's just consistently, one, you got to work the strain and you got to work the finish in practice. The game day is just kind of the finished product, but it's everything that goes into the week that I think we can continue to develop and build on and get better at and demand execution and strain, not only from those guys up front, but from everyone on the offense, whether it's the receiver catches a pass in practice and we burst 5 yards down the field trying to find the block, or you're holding on to the block just a little bit longer. Just that little bit more, that little bit longer strain can make the difference in a lot of different plays, and the run game's no different. And so we have to keep on demanding it. The kids have to demand it out of themselves. The leaders that we have to demand it from everyone, but also be the standard of what we do. And so I think that's one way that we can continue to get better at it.
Your running back rotation, who ultimately, I guess, makes that decision of who's in the game? And you mentioned Torrey earlier. Do you feel like he's your guys' go-to back at this point?
Yeah, I mean, who makes those decisions as far as who they in? Well, we have a personnel meeting every Thursday at the end of the day, and we determine, who are going to be our first 2 running backs in, and then if specific plays, all right, who's going to be in these specific plays, and then in game, I mean, it's me and Coach Murray. Hey, we stay true to our rotation unless I say on the headset, hey, give me so and so right here. So that's kind of how that works. That's how it works with a lot of the positions, and so yeah.
Brent, the tailbacks that you guys played against Texas rushed for a combined 42 yards, and it wasn't just a Texas thing. You guys have struggled to run with your tailbacks throughout the year. Jaden Ott had pretty good performance against Kent State. Then we see him carry it once, drop a pass, miss a block, and he's kind of done for. but he's a guy that, rushed for 1,300 yards a couple years ago.
Yeah.
What's keeping him from more touches and seeming like a guy that maybe could affect the offense?
Yeah, well, I think he got in the game early, and some things didn't go great right away. And that's, hey, everybody deserves some grace. But I think personally, man, Torrey Blaylock has been fantastic, and he's a guy that's hard to keep off the field. And so I think it's more an indictment on how well Torrey has played, both in, a lot of times freshmen, they don't do a great job in pass protection and being involved in the passing game and the running game, all of those things that it takes to play, a tailback, without people knowing exactly what you're going to do. And Torrey's been fantastic. We've been bragging on him for a long time. He'll be a guy that's up to this point, one of our MVP kind of guys. And the more times he touches the ball, the better he gets. He runs through trash, picks up, good blitzing linebackers, does a great job in his chip protection, has a good feel for, what we want to be. So I think it's more of an indictment on Torrey.
Interesting, to say the least. Javonte Barnes, his absence was talked about. He hasn't played in the last 2 games, obviously. I know that we had talked about it on the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast with Kerry Murdoch on Saturday night in wake of the game, obviously, on Saturday. Talked about it again on Monday in the Game Day Rewind. I think there was a prevailing thought. Okay, he's played in 4 games. He hasn't played the last 2. Is there a possibility that he's redshirting or opting out? You saw Damari Alston with the news yesterday out of Auburn. Certainly doesn't seem to be the case, even though there might have been some mixed signals today in terms of what Ben Arbuckle said as opposed to what Brent Venables said.
Yeah, Ben felt a little caught off guard in terms of Barnes and how to answer that question. I think it was Bob that actually asked him that.
Right. There's a lot of times that, we talked to Ben Arbuckle before Brent Venables.
And they're
always cautious about injury stuff, right?
Yeah, and so I followed up with Brent, and he gave a more clear explanation. It sounds like he's dealing maybe with an injury, which I don't think we knew about. It sounds like it maybe happened pregame. So I don't think he's redshirting. We'll
Certainly
see.
doesn't explain the absence against Kent State, though, right?
Right. Yeah, no, it doesn't. And I wonder what is his role exactly on this team moving forward anyways. He wasn't somebody that was showing a ton of dynamic playmaking. Maybe he could come in and be a blocker for you in some instances, but it was odd that we didn't see him in the last 2 games.
Here is Brent Venables talking about Javonte Barnes as well as Taylor Tatum. Remember him? A former number 1 running back in the country in 2024. Here is Brent Venables on Tuesday.
Javonte Barnes the last couple games. We haven't seen Taylor Tatum all this season. Is that just part of the rotation? Or?
Javonte, something happened in pregame. We thought initially it was hamstring, but there's something else. But I think it'll be a short-term thing. I don't really have any other information. He didn't practice yesterday, but he's moving around. And then Taylor's had one thing after the other. He practiced yesterday, but between stingers and an ankle and a hamstring, he's kind of been snake bit.
Been a bad run for Taylor Tatum.
Not good.
Certainly, coming off last year where he had the fumbling issues and certainly hasn't been able to get his legs underneath him. No pun intended this season. But nonetheless, Oklahoma, they have to figure out a way to run the football here over the next, however many weeks and certainly over the next 4 days until Saturday.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rushing stats in the country here, and Oklahoma is 106th in rushing offense. Get this, though. South Carolina, 112th.
Okay.
They're worse.
So we're going to see 2 teams that are really good at running the football on Saturday.
LSU, 113th.
Jesus.
Not great. How about this? This is a little bit of a surprise one. Alabama, 102nd in rushing offense. So there's some other SEC teams down there. You don't want to be one of those. Right. I get Alabama's. They're playing good football right now, but they're throwing the ball all over the field. Ty Simpson looks great. But Oklahoma, if they want to win some of these games moving forward, they got to find something in the run game. It doesn't need to be rushing for 200 yards every game. That'd be awesome if they could do that. But they need to find something, and it looks like it's going to be Torrey Blaylock handling the biggest load there.
Maybe get over triple digits per game. That'd be nice.
Yeah, if you could rush for 100 to 150 yards, that'd be a huge step in the right direction.
Hey, we should say, too, you asked about Derek Simmons as well. Obviously, he left the game in the first quarter on Saturday. good news, all things considered, day to day. It'll be interesting to see what he's listed at on Wednesday, along with Logan Howland on the availability report coming out on Wednesday evening.
Yeah, I think both are dealing with like ankle sprains in some regard, which has just been one after the other for that offensive line group. So if they could just get one of those two guys back this week, that would be huge. If not, it's probably going to be Luke Baklenko, which is not a terrible option. Sure. A guy who's played a lot of football, played a lot for Stanford a year ago, but certainly they need to get some of those guys back. Who knows on Jacob Sexton and Jake Taylor? I think Sexton will be back at some point in the season. I doubt it's this week, but they need some depth on that offensive line, and that would certainly help the run game.
All right, so kind of round everything together here. You run the football, it's going to make John Mateer's life easier. Ben Arbuckle talked about that on Tuesday. Just in terms of having a run game, it certainly helps being able to call plays when you're not having to lean on something through the passing game. Yeah,
and especially, I mean, I need to look into it, but I would assume they've faced a lot of 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 10s because they can't run the ball. And they've tried to. It's not for a lack of trying to run the football. Ben Arbuckle has stuck to it multiple times, but they have to find something to kind of get that thing going, and ultimately that would help the whole offense be more efficient.
No doubt about it. Here is Ben Arbuckle on the importance, Eddie, on running the football.
Yeah, I think whenever you're in the flow of the game, establishing the line of scrimmage and being able to run the football, I don't know if it's a secret. It makes a lot of things a lot easier. One, it puts the defense a little bit more, in a compromising position, especially from like a safety's eyes and linebacker's eyes and their position and everything, so it can make things a lot easier. But whenever you talk about that specific situation, you have to look back and you have to say, okay, what are we? What are we good at? What can we emphasize and what can we really build upon? That way we have a lot of confidence moving forward whenever we do decide to, hand the ball off. But like you said, being able to run the ball makes football a lot easier from the offensive side of things. And, we're working, every single day to get better, improve the mindset, the mentality of what it takes to run the football. And the kids are, buying into it. They're working hard with it, and we got to just keep on demanding it out of them, demanding it out of us as coaches to emphasize the strain and the finish out at practice, because ultimately that's where it all begins, is out at practice, and it translates over to the game. So, you got to be able to run the football.
Something tells me the fans are going to continue to demand it as well from this football team going forward. All right. We'll see.
Yeah,
I will say find this. I'll say this. Monday night and even today with talking to Brent Venables and Ben Arbuckle, it does seem like the response coming off of a somewhat embarrassing performance in the second half, it's not too much of a concern just in terms of the way that this team, from a culture standpoint, from everything that goes into bouncing back and coming in, kind of picking yourself up off the mat.
Yeah, there's definitely, no quit, obviously. I think that this team knows there's still a lot in front of them, and they know that they can get better. I think that's the bottom line. We heard from Mateer earlier in the show. I still believe if he just plays okay or a little bit above average on Saturday, I'm not saying they beat Texas, but that game is a hell of a lot closer, and maybe some other things open up if you're able to throw the ball. Maybe they can run it a little bit better. I think Ben Arbuckle knows, look, we ask all those questions. The fans want to know, why can't you run the football? If you think Ben Arbuckle isn't trying to figure that out too, well then, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Like, obviously he's in there trying to figure that out right now, and same with all those, coaches, because I do believe, Eddie, I said this at the top of the show, these guys are coaching for their jobs in some regard these last 6 games, and I think that they need to show something this week against a South Carolina team that, frankly, Oklahoma should beat. They're a 5.5-point favorite. You look at South Carolina statistically, they're not a great defense. They've forced a lot of turnovers, but they're not a group that's stopping a whole lot of people. And offensively, they've really struggled. And you would think with Oklahoma's defense, they should be able to keep them from scoring a ton of points in Columbia on Saturday.
Are you excited about the State Fair of South Carolina?
I am. I've never really been to a state fair other than obviously Oklahoma, and I haven't been to Oklahoma's in a long time. And then Texas down in Dallas.
Sure.
So I'm interested what it'll be like. I'm sure it'll be just like every other state fair.
No Fletcher corn dogs, though, I would take it?
Probably not, but it would be awesome if there were. I'd eat one.
We'll have to report back. Maybe we'll get over there and do a little bit of an experience.
Yeah, we should.
That we can document for you all out here in YouTube land. By the way, big news out of Payne County today. They've changed the lights on top of the palm trees at
wow.
Murphy's. Were you aware of this? Our guy Tyler Adams, Teabag, informed me of this morning, and it's very concerning, and I will do everything in my power as I try to fix the Oklahoma run game to also do that as well up in Stillwater.
Can't say I've paid much attention to what's going on at Stillwater the last couple of years.
That's the biggest story in my world today. We'll get those neon palms back to what they were. For George Stoia, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll see you back here on the SoonerScoop.com. There we are, George.
Wow. That's awesome.
YouTube channel.